Here I am on my motorbike. Wait a minute, that's not me. How did she get in my video? That happens every once in a while. Anyway, this is a trip, motorbike trip from Carcar, south of Cebu City, up going towards Cebu City, up to Naga City. And I'm going to cover a few things, a little bit of news, a little bit about travel. Got some questions for some of you about where you would prefer to travel. Got some kind of barangay event going on, going the other direction. Got a marching band and a line of cars behind it. You can do that in the Philippines. You want to have a festival, you just take over one of the lanes of the highway, no problem. This trip I was coming back from Moal Boal over on the west side of Cebu Island, probably the number one tourist attraction here in Cebu area anyway. And I've got a question for all of you. If you are going to come to Cebu or any other part of the Philippines, do you plan on traveling around the Philippines? If so, where do you plan on travel? What are your primary destinations? I'm hopefully going to be traveling later this month or sometime next month. I've been to Bohol, I think 4 or 5 times. I've been to Siquijor once, short visit, too short. Been to Dumaguete, I think 4 times, but also very short visits. Been north of Cebu Island to Bantayan Island once, Malapascua Island, I think 4 or 5 times. Nice little island. And I've made a trip by bus over to Bacolod, from Cebu over to Negros Island to Bacolod, and then by ferry over to Iloilo on Panay Island. Just a couple days each place, so I really didn't get a lot of time to see them. How about Palawan? How about El Nido and Coron Islands and Boracay, number one beach, rated number one beach in the world, I believe. And I've been reading more about that and researching, and it would be an interesting place. It takes a while to get over there, but interesting place to visit. The Manila metropolitan area and north, Angeles, New Clark City, Subic Bay area, and even up north, you've got lots of areas to see as well. You've got the rice terraces all over. You know, the Philippines is volcanic, tends to have a lot of mountains throughout the various regions. And so you get a lot of waterfalls, you get a lot of caves, many of which haven't even been explored yet or opened up to the public. You have you have thousands of nice beaches around the Philippines. And I've also been to Siargao City, but you know, Siargao, if I say that probably wrong, Island would be an interesting place just off the coast of northeast Mindanao. I wonder if a drone, I've got a couple of cameras. I've got the Insta360 camera, does the 360 videos. I've got an older GoPro 9, been working pretty good, though it's taken a little beating. I don't know if it's waterproof anymore, so I'm a little bit leery of taking it underwater. Would a drone be advantageous for the types of videos that I do? Probably. You know, every, year or so they come out with new models and new prices, and, they get expensive. But at the same time, you get what you pay for sometimes. And if you're going to be in the wind, the ones that can handle the wind are important. The ones that will do very good image stabilization are very important, I think. Of course, I guess there's always the option of getting a small plane. You could cover a lot more distance, a lot faster that way. I've got a friend who's a pilot. He could fly me around to different places. I think it's out of my budget. No budget, I believe. When I first came to the Philippines in 2015, My plan was to use Cebu City as a base, basically, and travel the Philippines a lot and even other Southeast Asian nations. Got real comfortable in Cebu City and didn't travel nearly as much as I would like to. I'm hoping to start that up again. It all takes time, it takes money, and takes motivation and energy. Any given time, I might be lacking one or two of those items. I've had quite a number of suggestions and comments and emails over the years about different areas. But how about you? If you were going to make a trip, let's say your top 3 places you would like to visit in the Philippines, where would you go if you had the time, the motivation, energy, and the money? Where would you go, and how would you spend your time there? Sitting in a resort by the pool, drinking pina coladas? Would you do hiking? Would you rent a motorbike, motor scooter, and go exploring? So many options here in the Philippines. Snorkeling, diving. Now let me talk a little bit about travel. As far as I know, you can pretty much travel freely around the Philippines. In fact, if you're international traveler, you no longer need any kind of, you don't need vaccines. If you're unvaccinated, you can come here. You do not need to get any kind of tests, rapid antigen test, or any other kind of test to arrive here. So you're free to come, and most nations in the world get a visa on arrival, which means if you've got a passport that is good for at least 6 more months, that's one of the rules. And if you have an ongoing ticket, if you've got another ticket showing that you're going to leave the Philippines, even though you may well want to extend your stay here, you can come, and when you land and go through immigration, they will give you a 30-day free visa stamp in your passport. And then if you want to stay, you need to go to an immigration office before that 30 days is up to extend it. You can extend it for another month. After you extend it for another month, the next time for an extension, you can do 2 months and or 6 months. Now, each immigration office has some flexibility, and they may handle things a little differently. So keep that in mind. In fact, the one in Cebu City Metro here during part of the pandemic, they were not issuing 6 months visas anymore. But they are now. A month or so ago, the President of the Philippines, Marcos Jr., declared the emergency over. WHO, a couple months before that, declared the emergency over. The U.S. and almost all countries in the world have declared the emergency over. Life is back to normal pretty much. There are no mask mandates anymore. Although as you read, I get up in the morning, I read European news, some Asian news, some U.S. and North American news, and they're crazy. There are places starting to recommend masks again, even though this latest variant the symptoms are similar to the basic cold. Now, this is a good example right here where I'm at. There are very few signal lights in the Philippines, and or stop signs, and people just kind of stick their nose out from one direction. Traffic stops. You don't hear any horns honking. You might occasionally, but they're not usually road rage type things, although you get that occasionally. And they let the traffic come from the other direction for a while, and then we stick our nose out and the traffic stops, and we go on through because it's backed up. It seems a little chaotic, definitely, but at the same time it seems to be rather efficient, and it works here in the Philippines. I don't see very many accidents, especially hard accidents. Part of the reason is because traffic doesn't, in this part of the Philippines anyway, traffic doesn't tend to go very fast. When you get to the Philippines, you can rent a car at the airport in Cebu, and I'm sure in Manila as well. Whether you want to drive here or not is a different deal. You can also rent a car or a van with the driver, taxi or Grab or whatever, for a day or several days. And I know several expats who've done that. Several years ago, I think a guy from New Zealand came, and him and his girlfriend, I think he rented a van because he had a bunch of stuff to deliver to her family up in the mountains above Carcar. I think he said he paid 8,000 or 9,000 pesos for a day for the driver, and we went way up in the mountains. We were scraping the bottom of that thing a little bit over the rough roads. The cheapest way to travel basically is by bus, and they have air-conditioned buses and non-air-conditioned buses. So if that's important, air conditioning is important to you, be sure you get on the right bus. I had a friend recently went up north. He said the worst, coming back on the bus, the worst ride of his life. He ended up getting on he showed up at the bus terminal, and they said, oh, get on this bus. And this happened to me several times. This one's just leaving to where you're going. Get on this bus. And it was a non-air conditioned bus. It was a hot day and a rough ride. And I think he had gotten some bad food or something, because he wasn't feeling very good. Bus ride from Cebu City over to Boal, for instance, probably about 200 pesos, about $4, 3.5 hour ride. So transportation is cheap here. They also have vans, what they call V-Hire, van for hire. And they have some with regular routes, and it might cost you 100, depends on how far you're going. It will cost you 100, 200 pesos, whatever. There was one time I bought 2 seats. I had a couple pieces of luggage coming from the north of Cebu Island. I sat in the front seat, and I bought, it cost me 200. I bought another 200 seat beside me to put my luggage in. Ferries are very popular with an island, with a nation with so many islands. Many people travel by ferry, relatively inexpensive. They've got row ferries if you want to take a motorbike and or a vehicle on. Depends on where you're going. Again, cost you, I think, from here to Dumaguete, Cebu City to Dumaguete, costs about 1,000 pesos, right around that, give or take 100 or so, I think. And that includes a motorbike and one driver, I think. The extra person would cost another maybe 500 or 1,000, depends upon what part of the boat, the ferry you want to be in, the business class, the economy class, air conditioned, non-air conditioned. Not all areas have taxis. For instance, Dumaguete, very popular with expats, still does not have taxis as far as I know. So you would have to rent a tricycle. I think they've got a few jeepneys that run in and out of there. They do have some buses that run in and out of there. And as you get into more remote areas, you might find that your transportation choices are limited. Maybe a tricycle, a hobble, which is a motorbike taxi, perhaps a jeepney. If you are so inclined, you can rent a motor scooter or motorbike, and generally your foreign license is good for 90 days in the U.S. Prices I've seen in various tourist type areas and in the city range from 300 to 500. 500 is the highest I've seen, although many months ago I was over on Bohol, the north end of Bohol Island, where there were really no tourists there, and we asked around. Nobody had a motorbike for rent. Eventually somebody said, well, I'll rent my motorbike 1,500, 1,500, and they claimed that was the going rate in that area because the very low demand, so they're basically giving up their motorbike for the day. 1,500 pesos, about $30 for a day. It wasn't in my budget, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. I still get a lot of questions about the Philippines. In fact, I was having a beer with a friend the other day, and there was a fella from Norway, and he didn't realize that the bar wouldn't take his credit card. Anyway, he went out to an ATM machine nearby, and the ATM almost stole his ATM card, his credit card, or whatever he was using, debit card. And in fact, the bar owner had to use the pliers to pull it out of the machine. They finally did get it out, and he promised to come back and pay the guy the following morning. And he did. Norwegians pay their bills, I think. Anyway, the point being, this is still a cash society. Many stores, hardware store, grocery stores, which are often in the malls here in the Philippines, they will take credit cards or debit cards. A lot of the stores, the gadget stores, other stores will. Some restaurants will, some won't. Once you get out of the city and get into towns, smaller cities or towns, there are a number of issues you can run into. Number one, the people are not set up to take international cards. Number two, the ATM machine will not accept international cards. It's broken or it's out of cash. I know when I was in Iloilo, I had to go to like 5 different ATM machines. I think 3 were broke. 1 would not take a foreign card. 1 took my card, sounded like was giving money, gave me my card back, but it never gave me money back. I think the sixth place I went, I finally got some cash. So you should carry enough cash to take care of your needs on your trip, especially once you get out of the city. And get your cash early, because holidays, big traveling times, everybody's rushing to the ATMs and they can be out or not working or whatever. If you've been watching this video, you've noticed that a lot of people are using both lanes, and it's true. We share the road here, literally, in the Philippines. And a lot of times, like a taxi or another car will be straddling the lane line, and that allows other vehicles, especially motorbikes, to pass on either side. So lane lines are just a suggestion. Now, GoPro, I had the GoPro attached to the front of my motorbike, and GoPro, for some reason, sometimes it changes the numbering system, and it will, instead of a video 1000, it'll call 1000, then 1100, 1200. It'll jump ahead to 2100. And that's what it did here. And this is this part of the video. I've actually ended up back in Carcar because of the numbering system. I didn't catch that. I usually catch it, and I name it appropriately. I'm aware of that, but I didn't this time. But some of you might be interested in seeing going through the construction area in Carcar. It really slows traffic up. And you really, in Cebu Island, I'm not aware of any areas where you make very good time on the road. It just takes a long time to get where you're going because of the average speed that you're going to travel. Basically, you don't have freeways at all. They're building an expressway that's slowly expanding to go around Cebu City metropolitan area. They keep running out of money, is what I've read. But anyway, a lot of stop and go. It's not like getting on a highway in the U.S. or Canada where you can take somewhat of a leisurely ride. You've got a small nation with a lot of people, 115 million people, I think. Got a mall, big mall over here to the left, Gaisano Mall. And you've got vehicles that travel at different speeds. You've got guys with the big pickups and cars that are in a big hurry. You've got pedicabs, tricycads, basically a bicycle with a sidecar, tricycles that will travel at various rates of speed. Some do pretty good, others not so. Jeepneys that will stop anytime somebody stands on the side of the road and puts their hand out. That jeepney and or bus will stop and stop traffic to pick that person up. So if you get stressed out in traffic in your own country, I would recommend you do not attempt driving in this country. I'm going to be doing more videos. I've been researching various places, more videos about different areas of the Philippines. Somebody mentions quite some time ago, you're not amazing Philippines, you're amazing Cebu. And I need to do more videos about the Philippines, everything from historical slant to different regions to live in, the pros and cons, the risks, the rewards, that type of thing. I know many expats who are happy they have married a girl. They're living in the province, which means, every place is a province in the Philippines. But the term the province generally refers outside of the city, more of a country, rural type area. And especially when first couple of years when I came here, people would say, "Sir, go find a girl from the province. They're not, they haven't been corrupted by the city living yet. They're not materialistic." So there's that, if you want to consider that. I'm working on a video about relationships. Having failed at many in my life, I feel I must be an expert by now. How to, how not to. Yes, indeed, I will give you some insights into relationships here in the Philippines. The good, the bad, and we'll get into that sometime in the near future, I think. This was a Sunday, actually, and a little less traffic generally on Sundays, but going south out of Cebu City, we're going north now. A lot of people are, they have gone, this is probably about 2 in the afternoon, I'm guessing. A lot of people have gone day trips out of Cebu City. Day trips are popular. They go down to Oslob for whale shark watching, for instance. There are a number of waterfalls and caves people go to. They go to Kawasan Falls for just to see they've got like 3 levels of falls. You can view them, or you can go canyoneering, which is something I would like to do someday. Cebu City itself area doesn't have any white sand beaches. Go over to Mactan Island. You've got lots of resorts over there, some high-end resorts, 4- and 5-star resorts that have hauled in white sand to their beach type areas, so you can see beaches over in that area. But other than that, if you want a nice beach, you gotta go north and or south for an hour or 2 to get the nicer beaches. Traveling is a learning experience, and like I've been to Bantayan Island once, and Daan Bantayan, is the northern tip of Cebu Island, and then you get on a ferry, go over to Bantayan Island, which is in Daan Bantayan province, actually. But been there once, and I learned, and it's like, I wish I would have done this, and I wish I would have did this. And we rented a motorbike for a day and went all the way around the island. Well, I wish I would have rented a motorbike and only gone halfway around one day and the other half the other day. Explored much more. Siquijor Island, I went around in one quick day. It's just too fast, and I would like to go back there and see more and snorkel a little bit. It's supposed to be a great snorkeling place. even on Behold, been over there several times, but so much more to explore over there. Where would you go? What are your top priorities? Anyway, this is the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.